It's been many weeks since the bombing in Archeon, and the palace remains tight-lipped about the group calling themselves the Scarlet Guard. Who are these red terrorists, and what makes them think they can hide from us? Was this a one-time strike, or the start of something bigger? The wait continues for official news from the king himself.
I'm Greg Rockefeller.
I'm Beth Rockefeller.
And I'm Mia Rockefeller, and this is Reading with the Rockefellers, a family book club podcast.
Today we are discussing Red Queen by Victoria Aveyard.
So grab a copy and join us on this literary journey.
The next morning, I opened my eyes to see a shaded figure standing by my bedside. This is it. I left. I broke the rules, and they're going to kill me for it. But not without a fight.
Welcome to Reading with the Rockefellers. This is Episode 8, Red Queen, Chapter 15.
Okay. Wow.
So who is this shadowy figure standing over Mare?
Oh, it's Walsh. Mare completely overreacted.
Walsh is the servant that trained her right when she first came in, correct? Sort of.
Basically.
Yeah.
Trained is an odd way to put it, but yes.
Yeah, kind of showed her the ropes of being a servant.
Yeah.
Mare darn near kills her in this situation. She springs out of bed, lightning-armed, ready to launch Walsh and make a Walsh-size hole in the wall.
Yeah.
Because she thinks she's in trouble for leaving.
Right.
Yeah, exactly.
Even though she left with Cal.
Yeah.
And it was Maven's idea.
Exactly.
But we get a little surprise from Walsh.
Yeah.
She mouths some words to Mare and then gives her a cup of tea, quote-unquote.
Tea.
With a message in the bottom. What does she mouth?
So first, she mouths, "Rise, red as the dawn," which is like the creed of the Scarlet Guard.
Yeah, same thing in Shade's letter.
Yes.
Same thing we've heard other members of the Scarlet Guard say.
Mm-hmm. And what Mare said when she did the thing.
Correct.
Yeah.
The thing that she did.
The thing that she did.
So what does the message say?
The message, it's only one word. It's midnight.
Midnight. Yeah. Not a place, just midnight.
Just midnight.
So is Mare excited about this? I mean, is this a...
Yes. She's excited, but nervous. She's excited about the thing, the actual getting to meet the Scarlet Guard.
The prospect of helping in some way.
them. But she's nervous that she's going to get caught or it's not going to work out. Something's going to go wrong.
Correct.
That's what worries her.
And right, and she can feel cameras everywhere, and she knows Alara can read minds.
Yeah.
So it's like, how are we going to pull this off? But so she also has another note there. This one's from Alara, correct? With the new schedule.
Yeah.
What's the change in the schedule? There's something new she's doing.
The only real change in the schedule is now she has training.
Which is what Cal told her she needed. He said, you need some training. But she has no idea what exactly she's in for.
Yeah.
At this point.
Yeah.
So then at this point, we skip in the story to Lucas taking her to training. And there's a kind of a little bit of a back and forth between these two, a conversation that I think kind of sets the differences between silvers and reds, even for a silver like Lucas, who doesn't seem to be necessarily a bad guy. He's treated Mare okay, but you see the different ideology they have from their upbringing. So
the thing about this conversation is it starts so normal and so civil, and then it escalates real quick from there. Like, real quick.
Right, because he comments about her attitude. He says, I think the quote is, "Be prepared. The instructors are famous for being able to break even the strongest soldiers. They won't take well to your sass." Yeah.
And then Mare actually proves his point for him by making one of the sassiest comments she possibly could have made, which is, "Well, I don't take well to being broken." You're proving his point for him, honey.
Right. He's trying to make the point. Yeah, she is. 100%. Then she asks him about training. She asks him what training is like. And he says, basically, he was in the army at 9, so his experience is going to be different.
Yeah. And Mare's just like, whoa, so young. That seems so, impossible.
Right. And then he also discusses that the best place for training is at the front. Even the princes go to the front, basically, is what he says, the war front. And then we have...
This is when it starts escalating
right,
a little bit.
Right, leads into a discussion that I think kind of sets them a little bit at odds, but, for obvious reasons.
Yeah.
Mare basically says that he's not a soldier anymore.
Mm-hmm. And Lucas says, it wears on you, and you're not meant to be at war for that long. You're not meant to survive war for that long.
Right.
It's not a thing you should be able to do.
Mare immediately snaps back with her typical sass.
Yeah. Which
says,
is a place where it's very useful, actually. This is a useful use of her sass.
And she says, it wears on you. Men are not meant to be at war for long. That's what he said, right?
Mm-hmm.
She says, what about the Reds? Can they stand war better than Silvers? You guys don't seem to care how long Reds are at war.
Exactly.
Which is a valid point.
Yeah. And the conversation just keeps escalating from here. So... Lucas says, that's the way the world works. Reds serve, Reds work, Reds fight. It's what they're good at. It's what they're meant to do. Not everyone is special.
Right, and he knows he's talking to a Red.
Oh, 100%, yeah. Yeah.
And it's you see, though, 100 years plus, this is what Silvers have been raised on. This is what they believe because it's been their reality for 100 years. So why would they think anything different?
Exactly.
It's so easy to be dismissive when you believe that that's just the absolute truth because that's what you've lived.
Oh, we've got a mutter in here.
Oh, nice.
Yep. Put another one down for the mutter count.
Does Mare have any response to Lucas from this?
She basically just says that she tries to keep her emotions in check. She knows that she can't just lash out at him because she's already on thin ice. She started on thin ice. She can't
get any thinner.
Yeah. You can't get it any worse without it just being, gone.
Right. And also, I think Mare knows it's an argument that you're not going to win in 2 minutes.
Right.
From someone who clearly sees things a specific way.
Yeah, they're at training right now, by the way. They're outside the training.
Right.
The training hall.
Clearly, Silvers, even Cal, when he discusses wanting to help, but there's nothing he can do, the Silvers clearly don't see Reds, other than maybe Julian, don't see Reds as anything comparable to Silver. They see them as a completely different species.
Even though, the king has said Red Brothers and equality and all this other stuff, they don't believe that.
That's all political speech to try to get, for support. He's a dirty liar.
Dirty liar.
Okay, so we get to training. Tell us a little bit about training.
Training. This is a thing. So, Mare, first walks into training.
I know, she gets into her training uniform, right?
Yeah. She gets into her training uniform, her outfit.
And the first thing that happens is Evangeline starts making fun of her.
Of course. Yeah, of course, because that's just how Evangeline do.
And
Mare has a great description of Evangeline here. She calls her an insufferable icicle of bone and metal.
Right. And it's the reason that Mare doesn't say or do anything in retaliation is because Evangeline's sitting there with all this exposed metal she can easily use
to
skewer Mare in a heartbeat. Just give her a reason.
Evangeline's got metal everywhere.
Yeah. She's the future queen, so what can Mare do to try to
and
come at her again?
Already doesn't like Mare because she showed her up. So it's just she's just waiting for a reason to lash out at her at this point. And Mare's not going to give her that.
I feel like
yet.
As far as powers, you've got Cal who can do the fire. You've got Alar, we know what she can do with mines, which are incredible powers. As far as just physically intimidating, Evangeline to me is one of the most physically intimidating. If you actually saw someone standing there with floating shards of metal all around them that they can launch at you at any moment.
Yeah.
That's just, that would be terrifying.
And they have black eyes.
They do.
The Samos family has black eyes. Like freaking Krychek in that one season of the X-Files.
Oh, the oil, the alien oil that got into them.
Yeah, the alien oil eyes, Yeah,
their eyes are black.
That's freaky.
Yeah. So that's... That's the Samos family for you.
So the first thing she does is goes and looking for the only friendly face that she has at this point, which is Maven.
Yay!
Maven gives her a, what's the word I'm looking for?
Reality check?
Yeah, but like unintentional reality check. He didn't mean for it to come out the way it came out, but it pretty much like devastated Mare when he said it.
100%, yeah.
Do you have the exact quote?
Yeah, he says, when we go back to the capital, we won't have to see her so much. She and Cal will have their hands full touring the country, fulfilling their duties, and we'll have ours.
Right. And I think...
He was trying to reassure her, but it came out really wrong.
Right. And
like,
everything's
talking about them as a couple, I think literally makes Mare's stomach want to churn at this point in time.
And I think they also...
She's almost like crawls onto the training floor.
Everything's happened to her so fast. And she's in this roller coaster, and she knows, I think, at some level that they're leaving and she's going, but that just hammered it home to her that, oh, we're leaving Somerton and I'm going away from home. Yeah. And I'm only going to be surrounded by these people. Oh, yeah, and I'm marrying this guy.
Exactly.
And I don't even know.
Like, he meant it to be nice and kind and reassuring, but it just made her think about all the things that she has kind of been trying to keep out of her mind about this situation come right up.
Yeah.
And she doesn't like that.
And
because
then
Mare prefers to run from her problems.
Right. Then he takes it a step further and wants to know how her trip home was.
Oh,
so Cal didn't do her a favor and tell Maven any of this stuff.
Of course not.
It's like, I'll leave it to Mare to tell Maven all of this
stuff.
All
this. Everything that happened.
Right. So then she has to talk about finding out that Shay died before they could get him home.
Yeah. That's a fun combo, isn't it? It's a very fun conversation.
And what Maven's like, yeah, I'm so sorry. I'm sure he didn't deserve that. Like,
oh.
I mean, it's her brother. Like, that's the best you can do, Maven.
That's the most stock standard answer.
Like, puts his hand on her back and pats her on the back and is
he
like,
didn't even tell her.
There, buddy.
There, buddy.
It's like he didn't even tell her. He just sent it out in a tweet.
Yeah, for real.
Hashtag
She's really
sorry.
Yeah. Hashtag sorry.
She's really hash brown sorry.
Cobra Kai reference.
Right.
Cobra Kai reference, yeah.
She's really happy that Maven can't read minds like his mom because she's petrified that somebody's going to find out she's in the guard.
Yeah.
Right.
And this is where we get a helpful description that says Silvers usually get their ability from their dad.
Yes.
So, Maven, and nobody has more than one ability.
Exactly.
So, Maven's a burner. That's all we have to worry about. He didn't get any whisper powers from Alara. He's just a burner.
He's just a burner. He can only control actual fire and burn people. It's nothing to worry about.
Cal strolls in with the instructor, and it...
All swole-like.
Yeah, all swole-like. I put that on here.
Here comes SwolCal.
Mare notices his swollenness because she does that. She actually says bulk, I think.
Yeah, she says bulk. She loves
Mom!
But even the instructor, the author even referenced it when the instructor comes in that he's standing next to Cal. He looks small next to Cal's swollenness. Mm-hmm. He's just small.
Yeah.
Swolitude.
Swolitude. Swolosity.
Swolosity.
Yeah.
Swolitude because of the Fortress of Swolitude.
That's right.
Where he's got like 800 suits of armor or whatever. Let's talk about Arvin.
Oh, Lord.
It's Rain Arvin, is that correct? The name?
Yeah.
And what is Arvin's ability? What is he called and what does he do?
He's a silencer.
Yeah. He's silent.
Silent.
And they turn off abilities, basically.
Yeah. Yes. They have the ability to negate all other abilities.
Is there someone...
So it's like the opposite of Cartman.
Right, I was going to say, is there a Cartman amongst the Silvers that has the power to have all powers?
Yeah, like a Peter Petrelli that like absorbs your powers
Correct.
when you use them around him.
Or he could be like Siler who has to cut into their brain to get their powers.
Correct. Some deep Heroes cuts here.
First season of Heroes, fantastic.
Also, I know...
The point is, no, there's not.
Right. You guys haven't read the book, but this instructor reminds me so much of the teacher in The Name of the Wind. It's hilarious. Like, they could be the same freaking character. Their names even sound alike. Like, his is, I think, Kilvin or something like that. So it still ends in V-E-N. Yeah, like, I had a really hard time in my head when I was reading this, not picturing the same character that I had pictured when I read The Name of the Wind 4 times that I've read it.
Yeah.
So, this guy's pretty awesome.
Discussing our casting and how everyone, it seems like, for the most part, the overwhelming majority of the internet is in favor of Timothée Chalamet for Maven. Mm-hmm. That's who I see in it. But sometimes I see him like on a desert planet with blue eyes because I'm thinking about Dune.
Yeah. Zendaya's there and they have like little canulas coming out of their nose. I got you.
Yeah.
But there was some humor in this part, I thought, when they were doing training and they have them run laps and Mare's like, sweet, I can run laps, I can do this.
All she does is run.
I'm really good at running.
Everything.
Then all of a sudden there's a telkie over in the corner that makes the wall move like on Wipeout, and she's basically just like pelted with this thing. That's what I was thinking of the whole time I was watching it. I was like, this is freaking Wipeout. Only you can't stand back from afar and like watch what it does, because in this part they tell you, but it's weird to think about. There's no technology in this room. All of this stuff is being moved by a telkie.
Right.
So the obstacles and stuff, they're not moving on their own. They have no technology. Somebody has to be there to move it.
The Silvers are so dependent on their abilities. Technology really isn't a big thing for them.
And also it is dependent on what the telkie wants to do. Like, it's not like they're going on specific hinges necessarily, or they're going at a specific interval or anything.
The telkie can change it whenever he wants.
I think he did it specifically when Mare was running by.
I'm 100% sure he did it. Everybody laughs at Mare except Maven.
After looking to his partner next to him and saying, "Here, hold my beer," he started moving.
He started moving them. He just tells the instructor, he's just like, "Here, hold it for a second. I gotta go do this."
So then after these laps, we go to target practice. We don't get much. We just see Mare miss like her first target, then hit her second target. Mm-hmm. And then we kind of jump forward. We go to lessons again, which is always entertaining when you have Julian.
Guys, Julian's here.
Julian's back.
Guys, Julian's here. Everybody, come on in. Julian's here. Got some words of wisdom.
You may take it a step too far.
Yeah. Come and get your Norta lessons.
What's the first? But he's looking at something when she walks in and she realizes what it is. Mm-hmm. What's he looking at?
He's looking at death lists of all the people who have died fighting in the Lakelander War.
Some light reading, then.
Oh yeah, just I picked this up for a bit of light reading.
Yeah, Mare wants to see shade in it, but she knows that he won't be there because he's executed for desertion, and that deserters wouldn't make it into a book like
Julian
that.
can tell something's wrong with her as soon as she walks in. I wrote because she sucks at hiding her emotions.
This is correct.
She's awful at hiding her feelings.
She literally makes a lamp switch on and off in rhythm with her heartbeat. Yeah. Like, girl, calm down.
And she's not happy about the schedule either because it's less time with Julian and more time in training where clearly everybody hates her.
Right. She has to spend more time with Evangeline, which she
They
really
took an hour
didn't want.
for lessons.
And
she's angry.
And in the training, Maven was the only one that like slowed down with her.
Right.
So he's at least, not being a total.
Well, and Julian is like, I don't think I can help you. Basically, like you're more powerful than what I'm capable of teaching. And she realizes that Cal didn't tell Maven what had happened at her house, but he told Julian. And she is instantly peeved again.
Yes.
Like, instantly. And Julian is like, I mean, you can't blame him for what happened. Like, you can't blame him for telling me. He had to tell somebody. Yeah. That can't go unreported, basically.
And this is when she kind of finds out what Julian's ability is all about. Correct? This is because he's able to calm her down.
Yeah.
I had to read this like 3 times
to understand what was actually happening.
I was
have to go back.
Yeah, freaky.
It's kind of trippy the first time you read it
because he basically sings to her.
Yeah,
but that's his ability. He can control what you do or your mind, but he has to be making eye contact and singing. Correct.
Mm-hmm. Other than the eye contact, it's just like us with Taylor Swift.
See, she
can make us do literally anything she wants.
The eye contact is what makes it really weird.
It's super creepy.
He has to be staring at you, and then his voice just gets really really beautiful.
Yeah, like melodic.
Yeah.
Well,
and then you just do whatever he wants you to.
Or like how a cat will walk in and go to the litter box and look right at you the whole time.
Oh, while it's deucing?
While it's deucing, yes.
You're going to have to pick this up later.
To stare a hole in your soul.
And then you sweep up all the litter and you come back in and the cat has spelled out "ha" with an exclamation point in litter.
We've broken Mia.
Give me a second. Oh my god. I'm so sorry. I am so sorry. I'm calm.
But then he kind of calms her down. Then she gets more upset because she realized he used his powers on her.
Right.
Yeah, and she was like, maybe it's stupid for me to not think, what is Julian's ability? Like, why did I never think about this before? Did I just forget he was silver for a minute?
Yeah, she just had made assumptions that because he was relegated to this room with all these books, that his power must have been something inconsequential, because otherwise he would be like a general or something like that,
Yeah.
But this is also when we find out that his sister, the former queen, Corianne, had the same ability, and there were people who believed she just used it to get to be the queen.
Right.
Yeah.
That she talked Tiberius into proposing to her because she was not chosen by Queen's trial.
Yeah.
She and Tiberius married for love, which was not normal.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Yeah, they met at some thing, and they, actually fell in love. And he actually proposed to her of his own will. That's incredibly unheard of.
Yeah, and she believed in more like equality between the Reds and the Silvers, and knew that Cal was going to be the king someday, and she wanted to raise him to view Reds more fairly and maybe make some changes to bring peace to Norta and end the war. And when she came out against the high silver houses in that, I'm going to guess probably especially House Samos, since we know that they're responsible for all the guns and bullets and ammo and everything,
Mm-hmm.
they're not going to want the war to end. So instead of letting her raise Cal to be this good king that Norta deserves, they kill her.
Yeah. She actually angered House Mirandus a lot more. Made them very angry.
Yeah, the quote from the book is, they hated her because we were from a low house, because we didn't have strength or power or any silly thing those people uphold. And when my sister became queen, she threatened to change all that. She was kind, compassionate, a mother who could raise Cal to be the king this country needed and to unite us all. A king who wouldn't be afraid of change, but that never came to be. And when I was researching all of this, putting together a review, I stumbled across some spoilers for what actually happened to Corianne from Broken Throne. I know, and now I'm really bummed because I wanted to read that story, and now I know what happens in it.
You can still read it.
I'll still read it, but
because it's really good.
We're not going to drop any spoilers here, listeners. Don't worry, but be careful on the internet because the internet is dark and full of spoilers.
Yeah, they will be there. If you look at a fan wiki or something, they will be there.
On a lighter note, what was the nickname that Julian has for the king? King Tiberius?
Mom? What was that?
I don't have it in my notes.
Oh. Call him Tybe?
Yeah.
And Mare's response.
Mare's response is
hilarious.
So funny. I'm gonna read it. She says, calling Tiberius Calor VI, King of Norta, Flame of the North, anything less than 8 syllables seems preposterous.
Yeah, it totally made me think of Daenerys, Stormborn, Targaryen, first of her name.
Mother of Dragons.
Breaker of Chains.
Was it one Terminator
all that
movie?
Kind of stuff.
Oh, wait.
Yeah, it was 8 different things that you had to call her. And that dude was making fun of him.
Right.
She was going to sell her dragons or whatever and making fun of her name. And she unleashed her dragons and they burned the whole city down.
But I think it also shows a little bit that Julian has a familiarity with these people. very clear close familiarity at one time that he literally calls the king Tybe. So there's clearly was a connection at one time. Julian kind of seems, at this point, I think, to me, he doesn't seem sad personally, but it seems like kind of a sad character.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
What he's been through and where he's at and what he's seen.
Because we find out that he's the last of his name.
Yeah.
He was never married. He had no offspring.
Mm-hmm.
So when he dies, House Jacos dies with him, as do the singers. He's the last singer.
At least in Norta.
At least in Norta, right. That we're aware of at this point in time.
But also I think that, like, the king is the reason that Julian is still there. Like, if it weren't for him, Julian probably would be, just off somewhere else.
Right, which is why...
and Cal.
And Cal.
And Julian has I think Julian has a clear love for Cal.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. They're very close.
Mm-hmm.
And you can kind of tell in Cal's demeanor that the softness that he has and the caring heart that he has got to come from the Jago side.
Side
they
not the Kalor side.
Close. They're not necessarily close right now.
Right. But they were. When Cal was growing up, they were close.
Right.
And so then we have a little send-off conversation for this chapter between Julian and Mare.
Right. So Julian has told her about his sister, and he thinks they're responsible for his sister's death. She says she knows what it's like to lose a loved one. It tells him about Shade also. So.
Yeah, he didn't know that. That's a thing that he didn't know.
Right. Cal left that part out.
Of course he did. He's just going to make Mare tell everybody, isn't he?
Yeah. He's a big dumb animal, isn't he, folks?
Well, Julian pretty much lays it on the line, though. He's like, they killed my sister. They will kill Cal. They will kill you. They will kill me.
Yeah. Do we want to read the quote?
Yeah. I'll read the actual quote here. This is the end of the chapter.
Okay.
Julian says, they killed my sister, too. She stood in the way, and she was removed. And they'll do it again, to anyone they have to. Even Cal, even Maven, and especially you.
Pretty sobering.
Yeah.
So
yeah, but what's the rest of that?
That's his... Someone else read it.
Especially me, the little lightning girl.
Yeah, that's what Mare does.
I thought you wanted to change things, Julian.
So Julian says, I do indeed, but these things take time, planning, and too much luck to count on. I don't want you getting in over your head.
Too late.
Too late.
Yeah.
Although she doesn't say that out loud.
No.
She just thinks it.
But she already did get in over her
It's
head.
clear Julian, and I know her being, like, we keep discussing she's young. She's 17. She's like, I'm going to take this and run with this, and I'm going to do what needs to be done. I'm going to go join the Scarlet Guard. I'm going to do all this stuff. She doesn't realize that Julian, you can tell by this conversation that Julian has a lot of the same feelings that she does about the whole situation. But he's been in it for a lot longer. He knows the Silvers better, and I think he really wants to do it the same thing she does to help the Reds. But he wants to do it what he thinks is the right way without anybody getting hurt. I don't think he realizes that there may not be such a way. Right.
Yeah.
Right. And it seems very much like that's what Corey Ann wanted as well. And she was removed, they say, because of it.
So that kind of brings us to the end of chapter 15. We were going to take a little time because we really can't get into 16 because there's so much that's going to happen in this next chapter. And we're at the halfway point, really. So we were going to kind of do a little review and recap and bring us to where we are up to date right now.
Yeah, 15 is kind of a weird... This is a weird episode. It's making for a very weird episode because 14 has to be its own and 16 has to be its own, so 15 just kind of lands in the middle. And it's in the middle, it's, the halfway point of the book.
And it's a good time to go over a couple of things and kind of bring us up, because once we hit chapter 16 on...
It just takes off.
Right.
It just doesn't
Stuff kind of happens really fast.
Is it dead serious?
Oh, goodness gracious.
Insert rimshot sound effect here. So, do we want to do a quick rundown on houses and abilities? Do we want to do a quick review on everything we've touched on so far? What do you guys want to hit in this review of the first half of the book?
I'm going to run down through kind of the bullet points of what we've gotten through from chapter 1 through 15. Mm-hmm. And if you guys want to break in with something you want to discuss or a specific character, I'll throw it to you and we can kind of go into that. Because I just want to get a brief overview. If we've been listening to the episodes, you've had a more in-depth review. We may go over the whole thing again at the end of the book.
Yeah, I think at the end of the book we'll do like a bigger review, but
just kind of
necessary now.
So we all know where we're at. The first thing we do...
Wait, hold on just a second before we go into that. I just want to give a note to the listeners real quick. Guys, we are approaching setting our episodes up for the end of the book when we get there, and we really want to do like a Q&A and have some information about the book when we finish the first one, Red Queen, before we move on to the next book in the series. So definitely get a hold of us on Instagram or send us an email at readingwiththerockefellers@gmail.com, or on Instagram we're just Reading with the Rockefellers. We'd really love to hear how this book got you into this series and stuff like that. So just a quick note to everybody, we love when our fans interact with us. So hook up with us on social media or email so we can get your information, and hopefully we'll compile it into a compilation episode for when we finish the book.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Also, I think probably now would be a good time to send in suggestions if we're going to do our post-book 1 fan casting session episode.
Yeah, where we're going to go over all the characters from the first book. And
who we think should be cast. And we want to hear also from those of you out there listening who you want to be cast. Who you think should. And why, discussion topics, anything about it.
Yeah.
And we'll have some information about our fan cast episode on our Instagram within a week or so as well. So find us online and let us know what your dream cast is or how this book series has affected your life. And you may just make it on the show. Yeah, I've got one person that I want to give a quick hello to on Instagram, a really awesome artist who does some cool work and agreed to let me share their information on Insta. So let me get this person's name and give you your proper shout out. Okay, hello to November_ever_art for the fantastic artwork that you did. And I'm going to show my co-hosts this awesome picture of her idea of Mare and Maven and Cal all together.
That's really good art.
Yeah, isn't that amazing? She does really great work. Very sweet girl. So go check out her Instagram, November_ever_art.
Can we put that on the YouTube version of as one of the screenshots during there?
Definitely, please send
during this episode.
Yeah, I'll get a hold of her and see them. Sorry, I don't want to mispronoun. I'm not sure, but I'll get a hold of them and see if they'll let us use the art as long as we give them credit for it. Because I want you guys to be able to see it. If you don't get a chance to go check out their Insta, I want you guys to be able to see this fantastic drawing. We
can even put the information in the corner there of the art while it's scrolling across during the YouTube broadcasting of this episode. That'd be nice.
Yeah.
That's a really nice.
Yeah,
well done drawing.
So get at us, guys, and you'll definitely get a shout out on the show. We'd love to hear from fans.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so ready for some review. We're going to go through.
Let's do this like Brutus.
Relatively quickly here. So the first thing.
You're ready for this?
Okay.
Go ahead.
Are we ready?
We're ready.
We're done.
It's enough shenanigans.
So we start the book with Mare and Kalorn. Mare Barrow, obviously, we meet, and Kalorn, who is her friend. We haven't heard a whole lot from Kalorn until chapter 15 there. They're on their way to First Friday to see the feats. That's how we start. Which is obviously the Silvers competing against each other. And this is where we get the first few of the Silvers where they're like superhuman, godlike.
Yeah.
Kalorn loves it. He's all in awe. Mare, not so much.
Nah.
Not her bag.
Yeah.
It's like me and football. A lot of other people like it, but it's just not for me.
Right. So this is where we get our introduction to the Silvers and to Mare, who's our main character.
Yeah.
Then we find out about conscription. right away, and the war at the choke, where what we find out is when they turn 18, unless they have a job that's deemed like a necessary job, then they will end up going to war. Mm-hmm. Basically, until they're either so injured they can't fight or they're dead. Yeah. You really don't come back much.
The chance of coming back
unless you're injured.
Very
pretty
low.
severely.
But, like, you never come back the same.
Right.
Right. And we learn that Mare is 17. When she turns 18, she's going to be going. Her friend Kalorn, however, isn't going to go because he's apprenticing to be a fisherman, which is considered a quality job, so he'll be able to stay. But then his fishing captain dies.
Whoops.
Whoopsie.
So now Kalorn's going to have to go and get conscripted, and he's not handling it well. Yeah. So Mare, this is the first time where we see Mare's trait of having to save everybody. She thinks she's got to be the one that saves Kalorn, so
she has the world's worst habit of trying to save a boy who's older than her.
Right?
He's only like 3 weeks older than her.
She wants to save everybody.
He's at least a month older than
her. Oh man, he's an old man.
A week makes all the difference.
It does.
So she comes up with the plan. She's going to go see Will, who's the one that helps her smuggle goods that she steals as a pickpocket, and see if he smuggles stuff out. Why can't he smuggle people out? Mm-hmm. So she goes to see Will, and this is where we first meet Farley of the Scarlet Guard. Now, Farley is one that we want to kind of go into a little bit. Mm-hmm. Before we get to Farley, the war at the choke. There was something that you want to discuss about, that you wanted to read about the war at the choke, and the conscription, about her family.
Yeah. Mare is so upset that Kalorn is going to have to be conscripted after his master dies, because literally every male member of her family has been conscripted.
Her dad,
all three of her brothers. And she is scheduled for conscription herself. She can't save herself. Yeah. And now Kalorn, her best friend, who she was going to be able to save and hopefully have to look forward to coming home to when she's fighting the war herself, now he's going to have to go as well. So this is pretty much, between this and losing their income with, well, what happens, and we've already talked about it on the show, but what happens coming up in the story, Mare is just freaking out. She takes on so much responsibility on herself.
Right. Like I said, she thinks she has to take care of everybody.
And she blames herself for everything.
Right.
Yeah.
Mare takes the blame for every single thing that goes wrong.
Which is why it's like, this is the straw that broke the camel's back. This is it. Kalorn isn't going. That's what she's... So we go to Will's, and Farley is there. And she asks Farley for help. And Farley says she'll help, but it's for like a lot of money, like 1,000 crown per person.
Per person.
Insane amount of money for a red living in the stills.
And I really want to go into Farley, I think, as a character and kind of talk about her.
Right. We've seen very little of her through the first 15 chapters, but she's a huge part of the overall story.
Right. Yeah.
What do you want to discuss about Farley?
Just kind of the part she's played up until this point. She kind of gave Mare hope, but also not, if that makes sense.
I think overall she does give Mare hope, because, Shade's letter that the family received had "Rise red as the dawn" in it. Farley says it. Farley tells her about the Scarlet Guard here where she meets them. So I think that this part ultimately is hopeful for Mare, because she learns that there is a resistance out there. There is an organization that's trying to do something, and that is not a concept that she would have been able to grasp. Having just been told about it or hearing about it probably wouldn't have the effect as actually meeting somebody. Yeah. That you can tell this person is a rebel. Yeah. And that they're fighting.
She has actual proof.
And you compound that with what happens coming up with which we discussed also with the bombing.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yes.
and them taking the Scarlet Guard video with Farley in it taking credit.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
She's at this point just scratching the surface, but she sees something that's like, oh my God, this is something that there is a resistance. And then suddenly Scarlet Guard's everywhere.
Right.
Was it always everywhere and she just didn't know it?
I think so,
Right.
because in the stilts, they don't have access to the TV programs that the Silvers have. You know, when she's in Somerton picking pockets and she's watching all the television shows and then the broadcast breaks in, these are something that she'd never seen before. So, you know, there's not a way to disseminate information to the Reds.
Right.
There is to the Silvers. You can get information to all the Silvers because they have the television screens, but the Reds just rely on word of mouth. Mm-hmm. And the Scarlet Guard has stayed pretty tight-lipped amongst Reds, but the Silvers with the N seem to know a little bit more about it because of the bombing and some more things that we'll find out.
Right. And it seems
later
like
on.
Front and center in the Scarlet Guard is Farley.
Yeah.
And I also want to ask kind of everybody here, how you feel about Farley as a character. Like, do you like her, or like personality-wise?
At this point, I think...
I don't know.
I mean, as far as like, do I like her as a character, or like would I want to hang out with her and have tea? As a character, I like the character because there's this real straightforward, no-nonsense appeal about her that you can definitely see of someone who gets stuff done.
Right.
She's very to the point, all business, no messing around. We're just going to get this done, and then we're going to move on to whatever needs to get done next.
Right.
Because she has so much to do.
And I don't think that Mare is used to seeing a woman in that kind of a role.
Oh, no.
I think the Silvers are very much, you know, part of a patriarchal system where the men have the power. You know, it's the girls that have to be paraded in front of the princes, and the prince has to pick the girls. You know what I mean? It's women in this society, even the silver women, are still pretty much objects for their parents to use.
Technically, that's only what's happened recently. There was actually a queen that was queen, like, on her own. And she actually she chose her king.
Right, but that was
a
like
thing.
a way back.
Oh, yeah.
That you learn about in Broken Throne.
100%,
so
yeah.
the
still, it did
present
exist.
rule of the Calor family is, and the overall structure itself is pretty male dominated. So, you know, Mare is like, I'm a headstrong girl because I'm the main character in a YA novel.
I have to be strong.
I have to be headstrong and stubborn and be able to handle what anybody throws at me because YA.
Because they're going to throw a lot of stuff at me.
Yeah. But she is learning so many different things about this other world and, you know, all these unbalances of power and things like that. You know, it's not as black and white or red and silver per se as you would think. You know what I mean? It's not. Mare finds out really quickly that the world, even the world she thought she had in the stilts, is not the world that really exists there.
Yeah.
And so we meet Farley here at this point, which is who we've been discussing. And Farley's going to help. So in order to get this money to get to Farley so that she will help smuggle Kalorn and Mare away, they decide, they being Mare and Giza, to go to Somerton, where Giza normally goes for her job, and Mare's going to tag along and get in so she can pickpocket silvers because she can make way more money there.
Of course.
So the first thing we notice when we get into Somerton is a little more foreshadowing when it comes to the electricity. Mm-hmm. Correct? Tell us a little more about that.
So when Mare and Giza get into Somerton, Mare can tell that there are cameras there, even though she's not necessarily looking at them.
This is kind of the first time we feel her. She kind of notices something about the electricity, correct?
Yeah. Well, after No, this is the first time.
This is the first time. Yeah.
Okay.
Because she's never really been surrounded by this much electricity before, growing up in the stilts.
This is kind of the first, her first hint or our first hint in the book, other than some nice foreshadowing with the language the writer uses. We get this actual feeling where she's feeling the electricity. So while she's trying to rob these silvers, we get a broadcast. This is about the bombing in Archeon, correct?
Yeah.
And so it's put a lot of people on edge.
Or Archeon for you audiobook people.
Nope.
But only in book 1.
Only in book 1.
So then,
the same reader.
There's another report that comes out, another broadcast that comes over with a video of people claiming to be responsible. And it's a video of Farley and the Scarlet Guard taking responsibility for this bombing.
But Farley has her face covered with a scarf. Mare can only tell it's her by the eyes and the voice.
Mare knows it's her.
Yeah.
Which I think, probably intimidates Mare. I just talked to this woman and she's taking responsibility for killing silvers.
Yeah. Had she, just come from that? Or,
Like, what?
Yeah.
So this also does another thing, and she's in Somerton with all these silvers. So they start looking for all the reds they can find because it's the Scarlet Guard. They start freaking out and basically attacking Red. So Mare's like, we got to get up out of here. So her and Giza try to get out. Mare hasn't gotten anything. So on the way out, Giza tries to, and she's not Mare. She doesn't have quick hands. She tries to steal from a silver and gets caught. And gets her hand crushed. Which ruins her whole opportunity to make money for the family.
Yeah, because we haven't covered it in the review. We covered it in the regular episode. But Giza works making dresses. She does embroidery.
Right.
She's a seamstress.
So this ruins everything for her.
I think the worst part about that situation, too, is that Mare blames herself.
Right.
100%.
Because Mare blames herself for everything. That's why she thinks she's such a screw-up, because she literally blames herself for everyone else's
She gets Giza home,
problems.
and what does she do? She does what Mare does best. She
Run!
This is where she ends up at that tavern on the outskirts, and she meets Cal. She doesn't know it's the prince at the time. She just thinks it's a swole...
Just a very swole man.
Just a swole man.
Mom has something very funny.
He has warm skin and is super swole.
Is that what she says?
He
be Cal. His name be Cal. It doesn't say swole in the book.
But we all know he's swole.
It's I think she says buff or something,
muscular,
she notices
strong,
that he's thick right off the bat.
Thick? That's a fun word to use.
With 2 C's.
Thicc McPrinceface?
Yeah. He's basically Maui from Moana. With shorter hair.
Oh.
And way lighter skin.
So, but this is
trying
also...
to mentally Photoshop that.
She also puts 2 and 2 together and realizes that Shade was part of the Scarlet Guard. And she thinks about the letter.
Yeah.
As well.
But we've got some other stuff with Cal.
Yeah.
His skin is warm.
That was really funny.
Super swole. Just like Maui.
His skin is warm? You can attest to that?
Yeah. I mean, she said it in the book. Not making stuff up. She said it. But he does all kinds of weird things that she wouldn't expect a stranger to do. He gives her money because he says, you obviously need this more than I do if you're trying to steal from me.
He offers to walk her home?
Yeah, offers to walk her home so he can see where she lives. He's asking her all these questions about the stilts and the villages and stuff. It's
I'm going to walk you home. Hey, and then she starts asking her a bunch of personal questions. Like, that part got a little creepy.
Yeah, Mare, stay sexy and don't get murdered. Okay? You need to slow your roll down. SSDGM, girl. That's right. And she's just like, because this guy is basically love bombing her. He's giving her money. He's offering her a job. He's taking interest in her, and nobody's ever taken interest in her before. In fact, her main goal is to stay out of sight so she can do what she does. This guy caught her, and instead of being furious with her and punishing her, he's giving her money and offering her a job. Like, what is this dude all about?
Yeah. And, kindly offering to walk her home so that she doesn't, get into any trouble?
Yeah, give her a job because now she tells him about Giza and that her hand is broken, and he's like, well, this will help support your family. You know, like why would somebody that she tried to steal from care so much?
SwolCal.
She loves SwolCal.
Mother.
So the next morning starts like a lot of mornings do in the stilts. With
someone breaking their
sentinels
door down.
busting your door down and wanting to search your house.
This is normal. I want to stress
normal.
that this is like a routine.
Yeah, they're used to it.
They're 100% used to
They
it.
have like a script for what they got to do. This is so normal that it doesn't faze them. They're just like, oh, door burst open again. Let's go see.
Yep, must be time for a
But this
search.
time they do take something from the house. What do they take?
Mare.
And they kind of give her parents like a perfunctory explanation. Like, she got a job, she's going to go work, you know, you'll hear from her, blah, 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 whatever, and then they're gone. Pretty much.
Yeah.
And she's on her way to the palace.
Whee!
And she ends up, this is where we meet Walsh, another servant, and so Mare is up being a servant, and she's under the impression that Cal must have gotten her a job here because he was a servant also, and that he was able to get her a job.
Right, and he must have been a high-up servant because he had, like, a butt ton of money on him.
Right, and
he
was
had
super,
lots of money.
super
He must
swole.
have been some kind of supervisor or something.
Yeah.
That a Karen would want to talk to if she wasn't happy with her service at the palace.
Let me talk to your SwolCal.
Let me talk to your supervisor.
Mother.
And out comes Cal. He has to turn sideways because
really
he can't
worked.
fit horizontally.
You really
You
worked
really
hard
worked
on
hard
that.
for that one.
He doesn't use doors. He just walks through the walls and creates a SwolCal-sized hole.
Right.
I really don't like this vision of Cal we got going.
So,
This
she's
isn't what he's like.
I picture like when SpongeBob puts on his like sweatband and he's gonna go lift weights or whatever, and instantly like his upper body is like 15 times bigger than it normally is. That's SwolCal.
That's SwolCal.
Does Cal skip leg day?
Never.
He does not.
So she's a servant during Queen's trial,
Yeah.
which is
Get
going
to the
on
palace.
currently.
Busy like a beehive. High families everywhere. All these colors and everything that she knows nothing about. She just knows they're silvers because she's seen the boats on the river before around Somerton. So they give her a uniform and pretty much just like shove her out onto the serving platform to start serving all of
And
these people.
she immediately trips and falls into the giant lightning shield.
I mean, it's not immediate,
It's more complicated
More or
than that.
less.
but it's basically
Yeah.
exactly what would happen if I tried to do something like that.
But you're not Mare.
Right.
Mare's
She
supposed
doesn't.
to be...
She doesn't really trip though.
That's true.
In Mare's defense, she does not trip.
She falls because of something that Evangeline did.
Right.
And she actually tries to move, but then somebody else bumps into her and knocks her over the railing. So it wasn't her fault.
Right.
Right.
She was trying real hard.
I didn't say it was her fault. We get the fall of Mare Barrow and the rise of Lady Marina Titanos, basically.
Right.
She falls, doesn't die, which is what should have happened, and shocks everybody
Shocks the world.
because she just gets up. And then almost kills Evangeline,
Right.
Yeah, and
defending
then almost
herself.
kills somebody.
Blows a bunch of stuff up.
Mm-hmm. And then runs.
Does what she does.
Runs.
She runs.
Yeah.
There's a big explosion. There's a bunch of fire. And she basically passes out in the smoke right after hearing somebody that sounds strangely like Cal say, "I'm sorry."
And his voice is swole, too.
So swole
He has a very
voice.
swole voice. You can hear his swollenness in his tone. He
Swolitude.
knows he's swole.
So she wakes up with someone messing with her mind,
Right. She's
going through her memories.
coming back through all these memories, reliving all these things.
And this is Alara, the queen, looking through her mind, because that's what she do.
That's what she be doing.
She be a silver. Or a whisper.
Yeah.
And they can manipulate minds.
Correct.
That's their thing.
So this is where the big lie starts.
Yay.
They're going to turn Mare into a silver and say she's a silver, a long-lost silver. And Mare is, I think at this point, sees an opportunity. In the one way, maybe she can actually do something after everything that she blames herself for. Nieza's hands and everything else that she's done wrong, that she thinks in her mind. She's going to use this to get her brothers and Kalorn out of the conscription. So she says, I'll do this, but I want this.
Yeah, because part of the bargain is also she has to marry the youngest prince.
Ew.
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 Wait, but it's Timothée Chalamet.
Slightly less ew.
Ew. Oh, sorry.
Kind of. But she's like,
Slightly
okay,
less.
I'll play along with your game because, I mean, what choice does she have at this point? But she figures she might as well shoot the moon and say, I'll play your game, but I want all of my brothers home. Mm-hmm. I want my family taken care of financially.
Yeah.
And I want to save Kalorn Warren from conscription.
Yeah. So she just
and
makes
Alara's
all these
like,
deals she shouldn't be able to make.
Right.
Mare shouldn't be able to make these conditions.
No, they shouldn't even be able to. They shouldn't be listening to a Red doing any kind of negotiating.
She doesn't understand what's going on yet.
Right. But she's like, they're going to give me what I asked for, so I'm going to ask for exactly what I want, and she gets it.
Yeah. Sometimes I wonder how smart soldiers really are.
So then we go straight to the feast. The king gets up and tells the lie in front of everybody. So now it's out there. It's out there. It's got to be true.
That's right. It's out there.
Mm-hmm.
We go through some really boring proposals.
Yes.
Where both of the princes have to ask their
reluctantly, I might add.
But they
say,
say,
neither one of them is very excited about this.
No, what's funny is they say the exact same thing. It's literally just like this whole written proposal that they have to memorize, and it's just like sub-in name here.
Right. I insert prince name here. Take you. Insert future princess name here.
Yeah.
And this is also when they finally announced that Evangeline is the one that won Crane's trial, like we didn't know.
Oh my
and that's
God,
who Cal
what?
has no choice but to propose to.
Propose to Evangeline.
That's so crazy. Nobody saw that coming, right? No, everybody saw that coming.
And we also get more mentions here in this time period when she's at the feast of Mare filling the cameras everywhere.
Everywhere.
Yeah.
We get some whining from Maven. He's all upset because normally the second son gets to choose his bride. That's one of the benefits for being passed over for the crown, is that you get to choose your bride, and now he has to marry
Mare.
This lie of a girl.
Nobody's happy right now. All the teenagers not happy.
Being teenagers, whiny, always angry about their situation, regardless of how good they have it. Teenagers.
I'm gonna play this back for you someday, Mia.
Right. Lots of sighing and eye rolling and foot stomping. I'm sure I can see it all in my head.
Yeah.
Then, to top everything off, Mare has to go back to school the next day.
Right, she gets the schedule.
She has protocols, she has lessons, she has to eat with the royals and Evangeline and the other Queen's Trial girls and their family.
Which
because
makes
they're
her
not
really
going
happy.
home yet. Oh yeah, she's super stoked. Super stoked.
But we do get to meet Julian.
Yay!
Yay!
Julian, what's up?
We've talked about Julian a lot on the show already. We basically read every word that he says line for line because it's all gold.
Yeah, Julian in this house is like Norm on Cheers.
Yeah.
Like he just shows up in the book world. It's like, Julian, what's up?
Actually, he's kind of more like Kane in Kung Fu.
How's life, Julian?
Like
taking forever.
Every time he opens his mouth, it's just like these pearls of wisdom fall out.
It's just like beauty.
Yeah.
It exits.
Truth bombs all over the place to Mare.
But he says it in the most wise and polite way possible.
Pretty much, yeah.
Mare also,
which we find out at the end of this. We found out at the end of this chapter why that is.
Yeah.
Mare also seems to start kind of finding herself starting to trust Maven a little bit, and then she keeps telling herself, he's Alara's son.
What's funny
you
is
can't trust him.
She kept telling herself it's Alara's son, and then in the next chapter she was like, oh, I don't know, he's not that bad. It's like, Mare, girl!
Yeah. See previous
cute.
Episode with all of the times when we were like, Mare, girl, put yourself together. Nope.
She will not.
But then also in one of the trainings, Julian finds out that Mare can create electricity.
Yeah, not just manipulate it. She can actually create it.
She's
and
even more powerful
normal.
than Silvers, and this freaks her out. So what does she do?
Run.
Oh, runs.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly what she does best.
Did the Stilts High School have a cross-country team? Because she would have been perfect.
I don't even think the Stilts had a high school.
Oh,
I think it's just kind of like school. You just kind of go and just...
Until you
get
drop out and need to work to support your family.
Or
she would have been good.
That's about it.
She would have been like 12-time All-State champion or something like that.
So she runs
go
off.
to nationals like every year.
The Sentinels catch her. Maven shows up, stops the Sentinels, tells them to leave, and tells her he thinks he can help her.
They have a really sweet conversation in the rain, you guys.
They do have a sweet conversation.
They have like the perfect romantic conversation. Like it's pouring rain. He ran out to save her.
And his help...
It's so sweet, and I hate it.
His help is getting her home. Trying to get her to be able to go home. But he can't do it.
He can't do it. Cal has to do it.
Right. So
because who's the one that sneaks out of the palace?
Cal.
Cal.
Little bro can't do it. Big bro got it.
Big bro's got to take over.
Yeah.
So she gets on a motorcycle that she's never been on before, and that's hilarious.
After watching a garage open, which is hilarious because she's never seen a garage
She has
automatically
the
open.
funniest reactions to things that like
so
we just like understand, like elevators, garage doors. Motorcycles freak me out too.
Right.
But still.
So she goes back home to her house, and she's visiting with her family. She finds out that they've gotten a bunch of money, and that all of her brothers have been called back home from the front.
How did that happen?
Crazy, right?
That's so weird.
Everybody's in the house but Shade, because, as we found out, Shade was executed.
No!
For running.
No!
For desertion.
For desertion.
Yeah.
No.
So Mare gets like uber peeved
And starts to
electrify pretty much everything in the house.
So the gig is up. The jig is up. She kind of got to tell her family about, I'd say, like 87.5% of the truth.
Very, very precise. Did you calculate that?
I did some calculations.
You know how he is with statistics.
That's true.
Got to be accurate.
He's also a quick math kind of person.
So she tells them that by staying at the Capitol, or by staying at the palace, eventually the Capitol, that they will help her understand her power, where it came from, how to control it, all that kind of stuff.
Uh-huh.
Even though he's safe from conscription, Kalorn throws a huge fit.
Of course he does.
Huge fit.
See?
He gets
Teenager.
super mad and blames it on the Silvers. And then Mare's like, okay, cool, fam. Well, I gotta bounce. And she's like, Kalorn's just going to get mad and be angry somewhere. So they...
She's going to go pout somewhere.
Yeah.
She goes back to Will's.
Well, yeah, she tells Cal she wants to go back to the palace, but on the way they need to make a stop. And
Right.
they stop at Will's. No Farley this time, sorry.
No, just Tristan, right?
Unfortunately for Dad, there's no Farley.
We do meet Tristan, a member of the Scarlet Guard.
Yeah, he's definitely a fun guy, isn't he?
He's like the anti-Farley to me.
Yeah, pretty much.
He's just annoying.
Yeah, they're just the opposite people. I mean, he still gets things done, but in the wrong way.
He's like a troop dancer on Dancing with the Stars. Like one of those background dancers, and I'm good enough to get an actual partner.
And he just runs his mouth about how
All
good he is.
the
He doesn't
time.
actually...
Pretty much.
Farley's just so straight to the point.
He's
like
all bark, no bite.
Yeah.
So Mare, being the rebel that she is...
I thought you were going to say being the rational person who always weighs her options before making a decision.
Totally. Being the wild, aloof rebel that she is, she joins the Scarlet Guard.
Yeah.
She says the little chant that all their club members say.
Yeah.
Mecca Lecca Hi, Mecca Hi Ni Ho. You're in the Scarlet Guard.
She goes through the whole little initiation thing. It's really cute.
They have
Everybody spits in their hand.
They
and
have a
shakes
5-minute
hands.
handshake.
Yeah. And then Mare is also thinking to herself that Kalorn is going to do the same thing. He's going to go find Farley and he's going to join her because now he's so mad at what the Silvers have done to Mare.
He even says that to them. As on the way back, Cal senses that someone's there and it's Kalorn following them, and he comes out and basically tells her he's going to join the Scarlet Guard. I'll tell Farley you said hi.
You said hi.
Yeah.
Which is kind of intimidating again to Mare because she's like, I don't know where I stand with Farley. I'm being turned into the Silver Queen now, and she's the enemy to the Silvers.
Sure, I just joined the Scarlet Guard, but what's actually going to happen?
Right.
How is this going to be received?
I still have to live my days at the palace.
Right. So then she wakes up the next day with this shadowy figure, as we discussed today, and she thinks she's dead. She's like, I'm screwed.
Yeah, this is it.
This is it.
Immediately.
But
She's so pessimistic.
She is.
Very pessimistic. Well, it's kind of like MJ in No Way Home. If you expect to be disappointed, then you'll never be disappointed.
Yeah, it's not an exciting way to live your life.
No, it's really not.
But then she gets a new schedule, and we meet Walsh. It's just Walsh standing there. She gives her the message from the Scarlet Guard, which says midnight.
Yeah, which in this chapter means nothing, but it will mean something eventually in the next episode. So stay tuned for that.
In the next episode.
Coming up on the next episode of Reading with the Rockefellers.
That's a really good voice.
Then she goes to training, which is new, where she gets to run a little bit, which she liked, and then she realizes that they have Telkies out there moving stuff while she's trying to run. So training kind of stinks for Mare.
But everybody else loves it.
Right.
Just
particularly Evangeline.
Exactly.
Yeah. Evangeline enjoys
and the other
this
QT
a little
girls.
too much.
Evangeline's just such a,
Yeah.
the word I'm not going to use on the family-friendly podcast.
Right. And then back to training with Julian, where Mare tells Julian that her brother was killed. And Julian tells Mare about his sister
Corian
was killed because she got in the way of the Silvers.
Yeah, so they kind of have something in common.
Not hesitate to kill Mare too.
Yeah. Kind of get a stern warning at the very end from Julian about they will kill anyone that's in their way. Especially when it comes to Alara.
Yeah.
He
doesn't really specifically say who they are when he's talking to her.
Right.
But we all know who he's talking about.
Yeah, exactly. It's not really any kind of secret. All right, well, that's all we've got for you guys this week, covering Chapter 15 and then our review of the book up until now. We want to thank everybody for listening this week. Just a reminder, interact with us on social media. We love to hear from our fans. You can send us an email at readingwiththerockefellers@gmail.com. You can check us out on Instagram. Give us a follow. You can comment on all of our posts. We will post that fan art that we were talking about as long as I can get permission from that artist. We'll post that fan art on our Instagram. That is Reading with the Rockefellers, all spelled out. You can find us on Twitter at Rockefeller Read, where you can check out our website where it's got our blog, all of our beautiful faces, and you can find all of our episodes there. And that is www.readingwiththerockefellers.com. So again, thanks everybody for tuning in this week, and we'll see you next week.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.